Welcome to Mondays with Mooch, where every week you and me, Mooch, talk about everything cool that's happening in the world of architecture. For this week's stories, we're going to be talking about a Kickstarter-backed project for a tiny recycled home, Zaha Hadid Architects' newest futuristic/tropical residential complex, and finally, possibly the most accessible museum in the world. Our first story is about Zaha Hadid's newest residential project, and the project is located in Roatan, which is a small island that's located north of Honduras, and it has a population of about 50,000 people. And I don't know if this is true or not, but while I was reading some facts online, I read somewhere that the code does not allow for any structures over 3 stories to be built on this island. So it's something very possible, but again, I don't know that for sure. I also read that on average it costs about $100 to $150 per square foot to build on this island. But anyway, let's talk about the actual project itself. So the design is a modular, primarily timber construction, which is interesting because it combines the futuristic aesthetic of Zaha Hadid with the tropical island Caribbean setting. Now, the roofs of the structure are curved palapas, and what this is they're thatched roofs made of dry palm. The focus that you can see on the renderings pretty much lays on these open terraces that are a big part of the design. And referencing back to that website that I found, it's interesting because it mentions that the whole island is basically on one single power grid that contains no redundancies. And what that basically means is that if one part of the island loses power, everyone on the island is going to lose power. And at the same time, it's also very expensive to get energy out on that island. So they really promote for sustainable techniques to be used in all construction and design. And that explains why there's these big open terraces all throughout the design. And also it's important to note that there will be solar powered panels that will be located on roofs, and there will be the use of cross ventilation throughout the design. By the way, not a big deal at all, but while I was going through these renderings, I noticed that one of these palm trees, whoever rendered this didn't catch that one of the palm trees is going through the structure. Hey, it happens all the time, but I just found it kind of funny that they didn't catch that. Anyway, as I mentioned, this is a modular complex, and Zaha's firm will be working with AKT2, which is a group of engineers who will design a kit of parts to study how everything will be put together in the project to avoid unnecessary material waste. And it's important to note that these modules will be assembled. They will be put together off-site and then brought into the site. And the reason that they do that is to avoid damaging the wildlife that exists in the surrounding areas. Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. Well, Zaha Hadid Architects have put together, they've developed this program that's going to be given to the residents of this complex. The program that they've developed will allow them to choose the size, orientation, layout, and even furniture sets. And this program will allow for around 15,000 unique configurations that can be created by the residents. It almost sounds a little bit like Minecraft. I unfortunately don't have any more information on that program, but it definitely does sound like an interesting concept. The beauty of this modular system is that residents will be able to add to, remove, or even reconfigure their homes as time passes. It's going to be much easier to do so because it's modular. And the exciting thing is that it's set to break ground this year. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it. Let me know down in the comments. Now, our next story is pretty exciting because when we combine a studio apartment, a prefabricated design, a bunch of recycled garbage, and a crowdfunding website known as Kickstarter, we get a big story for our tiny project known as the Tiny Tetra House. Does that mean you can buy this house on Kickstarter? And how much would it cost? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. But the project is designed by Stilt Studios, and their focus is to design residential projects that are designed in sustainable ways. Currently, their first project is completed and located in Bali, and for their second, they plan to step up their sustainable approach by introducing recycled Tetra Pak packages. Now, the studio measures 64 by 64 meters or 688 square feet, which is actually a nice size, and the program includes a bedroom, a bathroom, an open kitchen, living room, and outdoor terraces. Now, because it sits on stilts, the foundation works by using footings instead of a shallow slab. And what that does is that it reduces the amount of resources that are needed to make the foundation. And basically, there's going to be less disturbance of the ground plane in that surrounding area. So there's a lot of benefits to doing this. It reduces costs, it reduces construction time. There's just a lot of pros. It also allows for water runoff to interact the same way that it would on an undisturbed piece of land. Now, as far as the design goes, the roof is made from poly roof panels that are made of 25% recycled aluminum and plastic. And as you can see, it has a very nice aesthetic. The interior space offers a lot of open space and the ability to take advantage of cross ventilation, which is always a huge plus. According to this Gantt chart that they included on their online campaign, it's going to be just a little bit over 2 months of time that it's going to take to be completed, and a lot of the work is going to be done off-site. Construction will start this month, and the first Tetra house is planned to be built in Bali. Now, with that being said, what exactly will funding this project get those backers that invest their money on Kickstarter? Well, there's so many tiers available, and at the lower levels, you'll be providing monetary support and helping these guys achieve the creation of this project, which is super cool. But as you go up higher through those tier lists, you see some really cool benefits, and one of the highest ones that I saw is that for 1,250 euros, you could spend a whole month at this house, and that will be starting in November. For our last story, the United States Olympic and Paralympic Museum, designed by Diller, Scofidio, and Renfro, has been completed just a few days ago. It's located in Colorado Springs, and it broke ground back in 2017, so it's finally complete. It was designed in a way that allows visitors to access each space as one continuous spiraling path, similar to the Guggenheim in New York. This design element allowed the museum to rank as one of the most accessible museums in the world, allowing visitors with or without disabilities to share the common path as they go through the exhibits. Now, the program includes 28,000 square feet of gallery space. It also includes an event space. It includes a cafe and a theater, and it's all combined to be a total of 60,000 square feet. The museum also has an integrated amphitheater with incredible views of the Rocky Mountains. And for those of you who have ever been to Colorado, you can imagine how incredible that view must be. And having that amphitheater also allows for events to be held all year round. Now, aesthetically, the building is impressive. It's essentially this spiraling volume that's cladded with about 9,000 diamond-shaped anodized aluminum panels. That is a mouthful, but it's an incredible design. And the way that the skin wraps around the rotating volume, it really makes for these interesting light patterns as the sun moves across the sky. And also it allows for incredible moments like this part right here where the building slightly frames the sky along with the rest of the building and the rest of the surrounding areas. It's definitely my favorite shot of the building so far. So the goal of the firm was from the very beginning to make sure that all visitors, whether those with or those without disabilities, to be able to share the same common path of travel throughout the exhibition space. And so how that works is that once you enter the museum, you take an elevator to the top and then you spiral down through the ramp all the way down to the ground level. And the ramps are 6 feet wide, and what that does is that it allows for enough space for side-by-side travel. The firm also paid attention to material details. What that means is that the guardrails that don't allow you to fall over are made out of glass, so anybody that's at a low visibility could see through and be able to enjoy the rest of the exhibition. Also, they included cane guards that are integrated into benches, smooth floors that allow wheelchairs to move easier. And finally, the project is tied to the adjacent park using a new 250-foot long pedestrian bridge. This bridge, which also connects to an existing trail system, will consist of prefabricated parts that will be added later this year. Thank you guys for watching. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this week's Mondays with Mooch. Remember that if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And if you want to chat sometime, head over to my description. I have a list of all the social media that I have. I'll see you down in the comments.